Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Kalwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about sport tourism destination in Indonesia, a case study how the sport event increased tourism sector in Palembang, South Sumatera after pandemic. It's unique topic, and today we will come to know about sport event and its relation to tourism, particularly after pandemic. Indeed, a very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session as we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, and professionals to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself so that you can contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as guest who has a vast experience, internationally known and recognized speaker. His experience in industry is awesome, and he is sharing his industry experiences and is serving the academia in more better way. Moreover, he is a great human being who is always ready to share his knowledge and contribute to the world in different ways. So let me introduce him formally. He completed the tourism vocational school education from 1997 to 2010 at all levels, then worked as a civil servant in the tourism department since 2005 and joined as a lecturer at the Palembang Tourism Polytechnic, majoring in the event management from 2017 until now. Moreover, currently he is focusing on research community surveys in the field of sport tourism management and is an active professional association of national event and is part of the compilers of event management modules throughout Indonesia and compilation of the team of the ASEAN MICE Toolbox 2022. Last but not the least, he is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Prof. Muhammad Iqbal. Welcome to Kalwa's platform, and thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Thank you very much, dear Dr. Haider. Good afternoon from Palembang, everyone. And thank you for inviting me for today's webinar. My name is Muhammad Iqbal Djohan, and I'm one of the lecturers majoring in event management from Palembang Polytechnic of Tourism, South Sumatra, Indonesia. Before we let's start, please allow me to say hello and pay my respect to Dr. Haidar, leader of Kalwas channel, for invite me. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yeah,
Today,
same
I
here.
would like to share about sports tourism destination in Indonesia
Yeah.
and how the sports event increase tourism sector in Palembang, South Sumatra. Okay.
So thank you very
Uh,
much once again. Just a soft reminder to the audience that Prof. Muhammad Iqbal Johan will be presenting and he would leave time for question answer session at the end of the session. So if you have any comment or question, please write in comment section or you can email us at info@kalwas.com. So over to you, Prof. Thank you.
okay. Thank you very much. Okay. The first one in this sharing session, uh, we I would like to spare the sharing session to be a seven main component from the scope of sports tourism destination in Palembang and what happened in pandemic and impact of the pandemic in Palembang, and then how the industry survive about the uh, from the pandemic, and then government policy and regulations, and then what we do in the restart the machines, and then a fact finding about tourism statistic in Palembang, Indonesia, and the last is a conclusion. Okay. Uh, Before we let's start, in this sharing, the scope of sports tourism means it has four components. There is a physical product. It means such as attraction, facilities, transportation, and infrastructure. And the second one is people. In this case, are the people who become the main actors, namely as service providers. This service is in the form of local community culture or other cultures that can be displayed for the needs of tourists. And the third is packages that can be purchased by tourists. The package is designed in such a way by travel, tour operator, and others, and combine many sectors such as accommodation, transportation, accessibility, attraction, activities to meet and the needs of tourists. And the last is a program, in this case in the form of event, festival, and activities that are arranged or programmed by tourists. There is four scopes of sports tourism that I want to share in this time, and then we go to a next slide. Okay, and then we go next to the next slide. On this slide, we can see the relationship between sports, event, and tourism on this slide. So the sports tourism in this sharing session is one of type of tourism that makes sports activity the main attraction. So the sports tourism is a type of tourism activity which refers to the travel experience or actively or of the tourists who either observers as a spectator of actively participate in a sporting event generally involving commercial and non-commercial activities of a competitive nature. And so the next slide is the purpose of an impact in the implementation of a sports event is to increase the economic movement of the community, of the people who is the host of the sports event, especially the host community. But the approach will be different for each house. So, a sports event and the impact is managing of sporting event in general have contribute to the income level of the surrounding population. And the second is big contribution varies depending on the scope and level of supporting event held at the levels of international, national, regional, uh, and district or city. A sports which has held when the organization of sporting event, the factor of promotion or dissemination organizing event, precision types, kind, and models, as well as the quality of the good of service were sold before, during, and after sporting event took place. And the third is the large sporting event contribute to the income level of surrounding population. In general, increase ranging from 15% to 35%. Shortly, conclusion is a sporting event contributes to the income level of the surrounding population. Then, suddenly in early March, we have a big uh, big disaster is pandemic. And then the impact from this pandemic is the global industry was one of the worst sectors affected by COVID-19, and Indonesian tourism industry was not exempted. Data from the Central Statistic Agency, or BPS, showed that foreign arrival to Indonesia dropped by 75% to 4.2 million in 2020 from 16.11 million in 2019. That number decreased further to 1.56 million as of the end in 2021 due to tighter travel restriction by the Indonesian government following by the Delta variant outbreak and coronavirus in July 2021. This is the impact. And then uh, the global tourism pandemic COVID, I try to share the source from World Travel Tourism Center in WTTC 2020. On the March 3, 50 million workers in the travel and tourism industry worldwide are vulnerable to impact, with a decline in the workforce of between 12 to 14% in 3 months. And every day, 1 million jobs in the travel and tourism industry worldwide are lost. And then to the next slide. The world is facing an unprecedented health and economic crisis, where the international tourist number fell to 22% to Q1 and could fall by 16 to 18% over a year. And then based on local, what happened in Palembang? In Palembang, decrease in hotel occupancy and revenue from travel agents and transportation services decrease in turnover of restaurant and decrease in the number of spectators and reduction in tourism and creative economy activities. This is data based on the local hotel restaurant association report. At least 4 hotels closed permanently as the impact of this pandemic, and thousand workers they losing their job and survive with create a small business such as pastry business, online sales, and selling their asset. Temporary closure of hotel and restaurant becomes permanent closing. Failure to pay investment credit and working capital credit. And the last is reduction of employees, termination of employment. This is, I think this is very sad in Palembang. And then we move to next slide is what happened and what the regulation from the government. The first one, the regulation, the government already has data on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So several policy and regulation have been issued to immediately get out from the uncertainty situation and uncomfortable situation. And then the regulation is emergency. This is the stage of policies for handling the impact of COVID-19. The first one is emergency response, disaster management, health social protection, program policies for business incentive, fiscal and monetary, encouraging creativity and productivity during work from home, and tourism crisis coordination with affected areas, recovery and preparation. And then stages next with the implementation of the demand stimulus optimization, domestic MICE activities from minister and agency, restoring a sense of security, massive publication handling COVID-19 communication through mass media to Indonesia, supporting activity, MICE festival, etc. Normalization, destination preparation, increasing CHSE is tourist destination, improving tourism and creative economy, human resources, increasing market interest, continuing to provide incentive, discount, and tour and MICE packages. This slide, I want to try to explain about what the stages and policy stages for handling the impact of COVID-19 by the government. And then we move to the next slide. Slide 14. Tourism destination development strategy. So the government have a destination development strategy. The first one is destination analysis and development. There is implementation is preparation of destination analysis and development documents. And the second one is amenity development, is coordination and synchronization of the development of basic and public infrastructure, physical and digital infrastructure, and the creative economy system. And the connectivity development is coordination and synchronization of development of accessibility, connectivity, and digital infrastructure, sustainable destination and resilience with the CHSE implementation. And next slide is a new order of normality in the tourism sector. Before I explain about this slide, I need to explain about in this slide what that mean by CHSA. CHSA is an acronym with the content of cleanliness, health, safety, and environment sustainability. CHSA is cleanliness, health, safety, and environment sustainability. This acronym used to keep health protocol running, and this program is issued by the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy since 2020. New order of normality in the tourism sector is preparation of protocol in the form of educational video and handbooks addressed to tourism stakeholders. The second one is simulation of the implementation of the CHSE protocol and documenting it as material in the form of soft campaigns and tutorial. And the third is socialization, publication to to the domestic and international community through various channels. And the last is trial opening of destination that have implemented the CASE protocol when the enforced restriction and community activities policy began to be relaxed. And then next slide is from this situation, then we learn about and see that tourism trend will change. The COVID-19 pandemic is disruptive. Tourists will prioritize aspect of safety and hygiene. The government, practitioner, and relevant stakeholder must be able to adapt and create innovation in response to change and increase competitiveness and prevent the occurrence of a wave of the COVID in the future. So you can see the new normal, what we call a quality tourism in this part of campaign to avoid the virus in tourist destination. The first one is health is the power of king, and the new protocol regulation, and the third change in travel behavior, and the next availability of PPA 24 hours at tourist attraction, and five healthy behavior, and the six 24-hour health emergency services at tourist attraction, and the seven is visitor management, time queue, and another adapting a resilience business models, and the eight governance innovations, incentive fiscal relaxation, stakeholder collaboration, and the last is risk management, mitigation plan, and scam resources and consumer protection. And then the government try to restart the engine. In this slide, I will share about the moment when the policy and regulation has been prepared and ready to implementation. The government began to restart the engine. What we call restart the engine is with the COVID-19 pandemic showing sign of abating, Indonesia is seeking to revive its tourism industry, among which is by offering foreign investor project worth up to 1.5 billion dollars, American dollars. And Indonesia has one of the highest vaccination coverages in the world, ranking 4 after China, India, and United States. Indonesia has reinstated its visa on arrival policy to foreign tourists entering Indonesia through Ngurah Rai Airport in Bali and to 42 select nationalities. The Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy is expecting a higher revenue and a fresh lift for the tourism industry in 2022, following the momentum of Indonesia as a host to major international events such as G20 Summit, the World Conference and Creative Economy, and MotoGP Mandalika 2022. Indeed, one of the government major strategy for the tourism industry this year is to conduct more business, sporting, and cultural events in order to boost visitation rates and increase the proportion of long-haul visitor in the archipelago. And then we move to the next slide. When what we call the restart, some international event that we consider a part of restarting the engine is World Superbike 2021 at the Mandalika. This event attended by 25,000 people and watched by 1.6 billion people in the world by online. And the second event is the MotoGP Mandalika 2022, which has already garnered some positive buzz for being regarded as relatively successful. And G20 summit will test how will the country can manage in rebooting its tourism industry in the post-pandemic era. Next slide. Eh, okay. Okay. What happened in Palembang? This is the main topic of this session, sharing session. Sports event in Palembang. For case study is Fornas. Fornas, the six Fornas. Fornas is National Recreational Sports Festival 2022. The Fornas, the six Fornas, which is held in Jakabaring, Palembang, is a recreational sports event which compete the traditional sports, game, and modern sports with martial sport concept such as tug of war, paragliding, breakdancing, wushu, beater boats, and others that present 12,000 participants from 34 provinces in Indonesia. And then this time, Fornas is an important momentum to realize the industrialization of recreational sport as part of the national sport strategic design. Based on the sponsor commitment letter that has been submitted, the Fornas 6 sponsorship fund has reached around 15 billion rupiah, driving an increase in the hotel sector, increasing hotel occupancy, vehicle rentals, involving micro, small, and medium business such as local food, local souvenir, local garment, and local restaurant, of course. And then and then the Palembang city government youth and sport of it has also scheduled 52 related events to youth and sports this year and providing 165 free outlets for small and medium business placed in 31 hotel and 7 famous shopping center in Palembang city. The local government has also prepared a side event, namely the Sriwijaya Expo, which accommodates 800 local entrepreneurs to market their product. So this is what we call sports event can increase and driving the economic value to the community of Palembang. And the last is from another slide, based on the data shown in the previous slide, it illustrates us that sports events have grown to become a part of sports tourism and have provided tangible and intangible benefit for improving welfare and economic turnover, which have also played an extraordinary role in the economic, social, culture, especially in Indonesia. Of course, each for the stressing point is, of course, each country will have a different impact on hosting sports event because it will depend on the keywords, planning, resource they have, and what the next program after hosting a sports event. I think that's all I want to share with you, Doctor. I hope this can give a new perspective about how the sports event increase the economic from the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Muhammad Iqbal Djohan. What a wonderful presentation you have done. And I love the way you started it from the scope and then you talk about the sport event and its impact. Then, particularly the impact of COVID 19, very nicely you have related it. Then you talk about the government policy and regulation, how it actually impact. And very nicely you have mentioned the new normal and the quality tourism. I love the way you explain everything, and then you talked about the foreigners and the deborn and how it is going to be impact so nicely. At that time, I was just thinking that how it is going to impact the way you explain everything, and industry experiences and other experiences with the students, and would be elaborating and explaining so wonderfully. Really, you are a wonderful professor, author, speaker, and what a wonderful presenter you are. Since we have seen you on multiple conferences that you have been participated, that's a wonderful part. And thank you very much, and congratulations on doing it wonderful as well, as it was expected that you will be very nicely explaining in a simple words. And I loved your presentation in that perspective, that you explain in a very simple words, and you try to relate each and everything in a nice way. That was a wonderful thing. Thank you very much. And we have a few questions. If you allow me, should we start with the first question, please? Yeah. Okay. Prof, since you know that sport tourism is receiving extensive attention from the government, private party, the tourism industry, the sport industry, academics, and the worldwide community, as you explained in your presentation as well. So, can you just talk about the role of sports infrastructure, which is very important in the tourism perspective? So, how about the industry infrastructure over there? Just tell us about that thing, please.
Okay. Uh, Infrastructure of sports, because in Palembang, once again, I try to make a simple sample from Palembang, because Palembang have a Jakabaring Sport City. So there is a area with 200 more hectares. Is a very huge location. Uh, there is a for 16 venue, international venue. In 2018, the Jakabaring Palembang is the host of Asian Games 18. So the infrastructure for us in Palembang is one of the legacy of sports event. So the profit of the city who was be a host is the legacy from infrastructure. Now in the past we don't have like rapid train. Right now we have LRT, because the requirement from the ASEAN Games Committee, we have to provide a train from the airport to the venue. So the legacy is LRT and the huge stadium, and of course is culture. There is uh, changing culture uh, from the community. Nah, I think the infrastructure is the important thing for the if you want to be a host or a host city in sports event. I think that's all, Professor.
Very nicely answered the question. Thank you very much for elaborating it and explaining it in a wonderful way. One last question I would ask, that is very important since you are the expert of the field. What is the way forward, or what are the your recommendation for the sports or tourism industry, and particularly the tourism manager? What do you recommend to them? Yes, please.
If you if you want to develop sports tourism, the first of all I think is to readiness of the people around a city, especially around the venue. So the first one is we have to collaborating with the local people, because local people is the important thing for us to the next step of developing sports tourism. And then we have to know clearly what the potential, what the authentication from our city, because we have to develop a sports tourism based on the locality. So if you try to make another program not based on the locality, I think there is a problem in the next year. There is, I think, Professor.
Yeah, very nicely again answering the
And of
questions.
course, sorry,
Really,
I forget. Of
please,
course,
please.
uh, a availability of a fund or money. I think
Which is a
classic,
major thing.
classic.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. Very nicely once again answered the question. And
Yeah,
I would say what a powerful presentation you have done, and what a great powerful content you had. Even though the presentation seems to be very simple, but you explained in a very simple way for our audience to understand it very nicely. We learned a lot, and I hope that our audience around the globe would have learned a lot from this session. Because I was just thinking that you are not only the academician only, you have the industry experience which you have blend in a wonderful way to explain it in a great way, so that people could have a better understanding of the sport industry and its relation to the that how it is going to impact the tourism, and particularly after the pandemic, what we call as a new normal. So thank you very much for such a superb session with you. It was really honored to have you with us in this show. Uh, at the end of the session, we ask each our guest that what is your message to the world as a teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
yes, I think for me this is a good channel. Calva's channel is the one of the. I think this is one of the some channel can give us another perspective about how to we learn. Then I love the tagline: "Come, learn, and share knowledge." It's a great. I think today you are inspiring me, Doctor. Share, come, learn, and share knowledge. You are inspiring me today. Thank you. That's all, Professor.
Then thank you very much for your encouragement and for your love that you have expressed to us. Really, that matters a lot. And what we are doing is that we want to spread the knowledge, and this is why we say whoever wants to learn, they come, learn, and then share the knowledge. Because we believe in a philosophy of that we grow when the knowledge grows when we share it. So definitely, when we will be sharing, obviously it will have a global impact. Once it has a global impact, so obviously we'll have a better planet, better world, better globe, and people will be having a wonderful life over there. So that's why we invite speaker like you, who are the real contributor, who are contributing to the world, to the field. And thank you for giving us your precious time and explaining your wonderful advices, recommendation to the our audience around the globe. And that's, I think, the beauty of the knowledgeable people, that they are always ready to share their knowledge in order for a greater cause, for the larger interest of the people and the globe. So that's the wonderful part. Thank you once again, Professor Muhammad Iqbal Johan, for your wonderful explanation. I would recommend to our audience that please do follow him, because he's a wonderful person in terms of working, in terms of personality. He's a very humble person. You can follow him through his research work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance.
Yeah.
He is very generous and always ready to help the people. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you once again,
Thank
Professor
you.
Muhammad Iqbal Johan. And I
Thank you.
also like
Thank
to,
you,
yeah,
Doctor. Thank you,
yeah,
Dr.
thank you so
Haider.
much. Yeah, it's
Assalamualaikum.
really
Yeah.
our pleasure. And if you have any additional question about information shared today, please email to us or connect to the speaker directly through his email or social media account. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself.